there is a feeling that haunts modern man, a quiet, persistent hum of inadequacy, a sense that you are standing in the shadow of giants, a pale imitation of a potential you can only vaguely sense. You follow the rules, you cultivate the virtues you have been told are noble: agreeableness, empathy, caution, fairness. You strive to be harmless, and yet you feel a gnawing powerlessness, a sense that the world happens to you. What if I told you this feeling is not an accident? What if this pervasive sense of weakness is not a personal failing? What if the very virtues you have been taught to cherish are, in fact, the gilded bars of your cage? This is the unsettling proposition we will explore today. For there was a philosopher, a cultural physician, who diagnosed this exact sickness over a century ago. His name was Friedrich Nietzsche, and his analysis of what he called slave morality is perhaps one of the most dangerous and forbidden pieces of knowledge for understanding the modern condition. To grasp it is to be given a key not to happiness, but to a terrifying and empowering form of clarity. Consider your daily life. You are encouraged to seek comfort, to minimize risk, to blend in. Your entertainment is delivered through a screen, a passive reception of algorithmically curated stimuli, designed to placate. Your career path is often a pre-paved road of incremental advancement, where the greatest virtue is not disruptive genius, but reliable compliance. Your social interactions are governed by an ever-expanding code of conduct, designed to eliminate all friction, all possibility of offense. You are told this is progress, this is safety, this is enlightenment. But a question burns beneath the surface. If this is the peak of civilization, why is there a disconnect between the life you are living and the primal, ambitious, and even destructive energy you sometimes feel stir within you? You dismiss it as an echo of a more primitive past, a toxic impulse to be suppressed. Nietzsche would argue that you are mistaken. He would contend that this impulse is not a vestige of the past, but the very essence of life itself. He called it the will zur, matched the will to power. And he would argue that the entire moral framework of the modern world has been constructed with one primary goal: to break, domesticate, and neutralize this will in men like you. The weakness you feel is the success of this project. To understand Nietzsche's diagnosis, we must first clear away the vulgar misinterpretations. The will to power is not merely the brutish desire to dominate others. That is a simplistic and often malicious reading of his work. For Nietzsche, it is the inherent striving of every being to expand its sphere of influence, to overcome resistance, and to achieve its maximum potential. A seed pushing through concrete to reach the sun is expressing its will to power. An artist wrestling with a formless block of marble to create a masterpiece is expressing his will to power. A philosopher attempting to reshape the values of his entire civilization is expressing his will to power. It is the drive for growth, for self-overcoming, for the full and uninhibited expression of one's strength. It is affirmative and creative at its core. It is the engine of all greatness. From this core concept, Nietzsche derives his most explosive idea: the existence of two fundamentally opposed types of morality. The first he calls master morality. This is the value system of the noble, the strong, the confident individual. The master defines his own values. He looks at his own qualities, his strength, his pride. Good is that which affirms his power and enhances his life. Consequently, that which is weak, timid, pitiful, and constrained, he labels bad. It is a morality born from a powerful and resounding yes to life. Then there is the second type, the one that Nietzsche argues has come to dominate the Western world. He calls it slave morality. This morality does not originate from the strong, lacking the power to create their own values affirmatively. Their morality begins with a negation. They look at the masters, at the strong, and they say, no, their strength is recast as evil. Their pride is vanity. Their wealth is greed. Their ambition is oppression. And what, then, is good in slave morality? It is everything that soothes the existence of the powerless: pity, humility, patience, kindness. Equality, these become the highest virtues, not because they are inherently lustful, but because they make life more bearable for those who cannot assert their own will. Slave morality is, at its heart, a morality of utility for the herd. It is the revenge of the powerless, who could not win on the battlefield of strength, and so changed the rules of the game itself by inverting the definition of virtue. This, Nietzsche claims, was a transvaluation of all values, a silent, psychological coup that has defined the last 2 millennia. Nor you. This historical and philosophical framework is not some dusty academic theory. It is the operating system running in the background of your modern life. Nietzsche's prophecy was that the ultimate triumph of slave morality would produce a new kind of human. The last man is the antithesis of the creative, self-overcoming individual. He is the creature of pure comfort. His only desire is for security and a modest, painless happiness. He takes no risks. He has no great ambitions or grand loves. He looks at the stars and blinks. We have invented happiness, say the last men, and they blink. They have their little pleasures for the day, and their little pleasures for the night. They have a herd to belong to, and they despise anyone who wishes to walk alone. Look around you. Is this not the ideal citizen of the 21st century? The man who seeks not greatness, the man whose highest aspiration is a comfortable retirement and a good benefits package. The man who is terrified of holding a strong, unfashionable opinion for fear of being cast out from the digital herd. The endless scroll on social media, the binge-watching of mediocre television, the pursuit of life hacks to make everything easier, the pathologizing of discomfort, these are the hymns of the last man. Slave morality has triumphed so completely that its goal, the elimination of suffering and risk, is now seen as the unquestionable purpose of life itself. This brings us to the psychological mechanism that enforces this new order. Nietzsche called it ressentiment. This French word is more than simple resentment. It is a deep-seated, vindictive poison brewed in the soul of the weak. It is an impotent envy that, unable to create, can only seek to devalue and destroy. The master creates values. The man of ressentiment reacts. He cannot build a taller tower, so he seeks to tear down all the others and call the rubble equality. He cannot endure the solitude required for greatness, so he champions the collective and demonizes the individualist as selfish. He lacks the courage for noble conflict, so he perfects the art of the anonymous online attack. The whisper campaign, Ressentiment, is the engine of modern call-out culture. It is the sanctimonious fury that erupts whenever a figure of great success or unconventional strength appears. Notice how the critique is always moral. The successful entrepreneur is not just successful. The disciplined athlete is not just strong, he is obsessed. The independent thinker is not just original, he is dangerous. This is the genius of slave morality. It allows the weak to feel virtuous in their desire to pull the strong down to their level. So what does this mean for you, the man feeling a sense of inexplicable weakness? It means you have been taught to feel resentment towards your own potential. You have been trained to see your own natural ambition, your desire for distinction, your aggression, and your competitive drive not as sources of power, but as moral failings. When you feel the urge to take a great risk, to start a business, conditioned by a lifetime of slave morality, whispers in your ear, who are you to do that? That's arrogant. That's selfish. It's safer to stay where you are, be part of the team. This internal conflict, your will to power, the core of your vitality, is constantly at war with a moral system you have internalized, but which is fundamentally hostile to your flourishing. You are a wolf that has been raised to believe it is a sheep. You have been taught to value the security of the pen over the freedom of the wilderness. The weakness you feel is the deep psychological friction of this contradiction. It is the exhaustion that comes from constantly suppressing your own nature in the name of a virtue that was designed to neuter you. You have been taught to police yourself, to be your own zookeeper. We now arrive at the central, brutal truth of Nietzsche's forbidden lesson. The weakness you feel is not a lack of strength. It is the presence of a cage. You are not weak. You are domesticated. Let that sink in. Your power has not vanished. It has been redirected, channeled into safe, manageable, and productive streams that serve the collective herd, but starve your individual soul. The modern world does not fear your weakness. It fears your strength. It fears the man who can define his own purpose, who can endure hardship without complaint, who finds joy in the struggle, not just the prize. It fears the man who creates his own table of values, because such a man cannot be easily controlled. Therefore, it has built a magnificent, comfortable, and morally righteous prison for him. It has convinced him that the walls are for his own protection. It has taught him to love his own subjugation. It has trained him to see the untamed spirit of the master the eagerland, to call it predatory, while celebrating the anxious safety of the lamb. Your anxiety, your depression, it is the healthy, vital scream of your will to power, suffocating under the weight of a foreign morality. It is the cry of a lion in a zoo who is well fed and safe from predators, but is denied the one thing that makes him a lion: the hunt, the struggle, the expression of his nature. You have been convinced that the highest goal is to be a good domestic animal, and you are miserable because, deep down, you know you were born to be a beast of prey. So where does this leave us? Nietzsche offers no easy 5-step plan. He offers no comforting solution. To do so would be to fall back into the very slave morality. He despises the morality that seeks to soothe and pacify. His gift is not a cure, but a diagnosis and a challenge. The challenge is a transvaluation of your own values. This is the path out of the cage. It begins with a ruthless self-examination. Ask yourself, which of my virtues make me stronger, and which make me weaker? Which of my beliefs serve my growth, and which serve my desire for comfort and the approval of the herd? Am I living my life as an active creator or as a passive reactor? This is a dangerous path. To reject the morality of the herd is to invite its scorn. You will be called arrogant. You will have to learn to find satisfaction in your own approval. You will have to embrace what Nietzsche called amor fati. This means loving not just your triumphs, but your struggles, your hardships, your pain. For they are the resistance against which your will to power forges itself into something greater. The goal is not to become a tyrant or to dominate others. The goal is to become what Nietzsche called the Bermensch. This is not a specific person, but an ideal. It is the man who has overcome his own domestication, who has shattered the old values and created his own, and who says yes to every aspect of it, the beautiful and the terrible. This is not a destination you arrive at. It is a direction you choose. The choice to stop being a passive spectator in your own life. The choice to see your weakness not as a final verdict, but as the starting point of your greatest struggle, and therefore your greatest potential glory. The cage is open. The wilderness is waiting. The only question is whether you have the courage to step outside